Hey, I'm Father Robert from Gadget at thetechstop.net, the place where it's always time to get your geek on. I'm here at the Hotstage warehouse in Brisbane, California, getting ready for Interop 2012. Next to me is Jeff Enters, who is the Worldwide IPv6 Portfolio Manager.
Very good.
Okay, got it. Now, IPv6, it's something that we've heard of, but many of us have sort of discounted. I mean, it was sort of the sky is falling prediction for the longest time. In fact, IPv6 has been around for how many years?
10 plus years.
10 plus years, and only now are, well, the predictions finally coming true. I believe last year we actually ran out of addressing space.
That is correct, yep. IANA, who's the overall authoritative for handing out addresses, handed it out to the last of those addresses to the regional internet registries, the RIRs. And so we have definitely officially ran out at this point. I think the key for people to understand right now is the IPv6 internet, if you will, is out there, and there's an IPv4 internet, and there's no connectivity between those two. So there's a lot of things that people need to start thinking about as far as maybe a competitive advantage of being on that IPv6 internet before your customer, and things along that line. So it's really the time to start looking at that IPv6 internet and see if there's opportunity there.
Now, in the IPv4 addressing scheme, it was that familiar 4-octet string of numbers that determined what address your computer had. Now, how many combinations were there in that? I forget.
About 4.2 billion.
Yeah, which is a lot, but we've run out of them. And how many combinations are in IPv6?
If I remember correctly, I think it's about 340 undecillion. Sometimes I get a little stuff to keep those straight.
Someone once told me that you could give an IP address to every grain of sand on the planet Earth and still have addresses left over.
That is absolutely correct, yeah. Plenty of room left. So.
And this addressing space, the original intent behind IPv4, and of course the intent behind IPv6, was this idea of pervasive connectivity.
Yes.
Everything should be connected. Everything should be addressable. And IPv6 will finally allow that, right?
That is correct, yeah. That is really breaking down right now with everybody, with the home routers doing that, even the carriers doing carrier grade NAT now, which is absolutely a challenge. And then you got things like NAT 444, which is actually doing NAT multiple times. You want to talk about breaking things, that's where it happens. So you get things like if a carrier needs to shut down somebody, they're going to shut it down at that public IP address. They're not going to know how many private IP addresses are behind there. So it really becomes a challenge from a security and logging standpoint too.
Okay, Mr. Portfolio Manager, let's get down to brass tacks here. There are a lot of people out there who are saying this is still just a doom and gloom prediction. This is still just the sky is falling, but in fact, they're happy with IPv4. They've been using it forever. They are coming up with these super strange workarounds with NAT of NAT of NAT.
Sure.
So why should they switch? If I have a small to medium business and everything seems to be working, I've got enough addresses for my devices, why should I even consider putting the time and the expense into enabling IPv6?
One word, inevitability. How's that one?
Yeah.
The IPv6 internet, if you will, is inevitable. IPv6 is inevitable. It's coming, it's going to be here. There's no other way around it. So you either start to plan now, because this is not a 1-year transition plan. This is not a 2-year overall transition. This is a 5 to 10 year transition that's going to happen. You're going to run dual stack for a long period of time. It's possible you may have pockets of IPv4 within your IPv6 network many, many years down the road. So starting to plan now for something that is inevitable seems like the right thing to do.
So
seems pretty logical.
Grow now or die later.
Yeah. I mean, and the hard part
rule.
for companies is going to be, banks is a really good example. There's places in China that are only allowing IPv6 internet or giving it out for free kind of things. And so when that's happening, if I can only connect to the bank A via IPv6 and bank B doesn't have IPv6, who am I going to go to for business?
Right.
University of Hawaii is another great example in which if you're on their IPv6 network and you have an IPv6 address, you actually have a much faster pipe to the internet than you do with IPv4 because they do their peering happens local on the island for IPv4 versus in the States for IPv6. So they actually get better bandwidth, better speeds. Same thing for peering. A number of peering applications out there right now that are using IPv6 because they can get around some of the bandwidth limitations that can be put on from some of the carriers. So lots of opportunity out there with IPv6.
Now, HP has been working with IPv6 forever, and you've been dual stacking it. You've been enabling customers to sort of turn it on at their leisure. But if they want to find out more information, if they want to actually talk to you and find out what kind of services HP can provide for IPv6, where should they go?
They should take a look right about here, or stop by the InteropNet NOC booth at Las Vegas and ask for Jeff Enters. That's me, and I'll be more than happy to talk more about it and to give you a nice little backstage tour of the NOC.
And buy a beer and maybe a steak dinner?
Maybe one of those.
Maybe, okay. Jeff, thank you very much.
Thank you, Father Robert.
We'll see you at the show, and hopefully you'll be doing all sorts of IPv6 goodness, because the show does run IPv6 and IPv4. And you stay tuned, because we've got more from Interop 2012.